What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Spotlight 39 Live, the podcast. I'm Rob Bodie. I'm going to be joined here in a few minutes by my guy, Zack from Max Preps. But before he jumps on, man, let's get some things out the way. First and foremost, we appreciate you jumping on each and every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to check out the podcast. It's a lot of fun. We recap all the big games. Some are upsets, some are blowouts. Some games we weren't expecting to talk about, but nonetheless, we recap them from the week prior. And then look, we got to set the stage for all the big games coming up this weekend. And as we near the end of the season, we got some big matchups to talk about. So hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on so you don't miss an episode. Shout out to the sponsors, I Empower Energy, as well as the Great White Shop Apparel. So make sure you check out their website, the Great White Shop. And then look, we can't leave out the 39 Hearts Foundation. It is the reason why Spotlight 39 exists. So make sure you check out our website, spotlight39.com. Click on the 39 Hearts Foundation. We definitely appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get into the intro. Let's bring on my co-host. Let's start talking football. High school football, man. It's almost November. Let's go. All right, man. So I didn't let you down. We got the man himself, Zack. Man, how you feeling?
Doing great, man. We got another great week coming up. It's crazy to think, man. It's already almost playoff time in high school football. It seems like the season just flies by every single year, man.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy because I'm sitting there looking at the tour schedule, that I put out preseason, and I stuck to it probably about 95%, which is, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. A couple of, audibles called here and there, but I am now this Friday will be game number 32. 32 that I've been on the sideline and have covered this season, and I still have plenty more to go. I still have a couple of games in Florida. I got the state championships and playoffs here in Virginia, and then I go to Georgia for those state championships. So I'm probably going to be 50-ish or better when the season ends. So that's pretty
Well, I got
exciting.
I got to put you on the spot. What number one game you've been to so far this year?
Number one, probably I'm going week 2. Yeah, you know what? It's hard because Milton falls between the number 1 and number 2 game for me.
Yeah,
Between the Buford and American Hair, like they were both such great games. Um, those are definitely that's 1 and 2. I mean, that's really the best way of putting it. And then obviously we've had a handful of others throughout the season that have equally been as good. But look, let's get into this week. Let's
yeah.
talk about the games that just happened, and let's talk about that American Heritage team that played Milton. Right? They had a big game against St. Thomas Aquinas. I think last week I said I had Heritage. You said you could go either
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Dia Bell put on a show. Talk to me.
Hey, he's been so nice this year. Like he had a good sophomore season. He's had a great junior year every week. I mean, even the losses that Heritage has, he played phenomenal. The game against Milton, a close defeat, and then Miami Central, and then Norland. And even though I guess the Norland game's technically a win now because Norland had an eligible player, but who cares about all that? But yeah, I was impressed, man. He played great. Malachi Tony, he's a big time wide receiver. Byron Lewis at running back, he had another outstanding game. He's one of the better running backs in the country. I feel like Byron Lewis every week has a big game. It kind of helps though when you got such a good passing attack with Dia Bell. It opens up the running game and they kind of work well together. Heritage's defense has been a little off this year, so Diabell has had to play better each week. And man, what a game he had last week. Aquinas had there was 38-28, I believe, in the fourth quarter. And then Heritage reeled off back-to-back touchdowns, and Diabell had a long touchdown run. He's just doing it with his arm and his legs this year. He's been super impressive. Heritage, you see the 3 losses. They have 4 if you count the Northern one, but they're going to be a scary team when they get to the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if they won a state title this year.
Yeah, I mean the game that we said could go either way most definitely didn't disappoint. And then Dia Bell, like you said, just every single week getting that much better. It's pretty exciting, to know that he's still able to come back and do this thing, a whole nother season. He hasn't reclassed yet. Don't know if he will. That's obviously to be determined. A lot of folks, do these days. But if he does come back for his senior season in high school, it's going to be scary, without a doubt, because he has grown tremendously since last year. But let's not stop here. We had, I don't know, a handful of other big games to talk about. Let's take it from one place in Florida. Let's talk about another Florida program. Another game that came down to the wire. We talked about it.
Yeah.
East St. Louis, man, they want all the smoke. They want to play all the biggest, the baddest, the best in the nation, and they're not scared to do so. And this time they took on IMG for what, probably the second or third time within the last handful of years. And the
Yeah.
game came down to a 14-13. What was it, overtime, right?
Yeah. Went to overtime.
I mean, this was nuts. What did you see, from being able to watch, at least the better part of the game?
Yeah, it was a defensive game most of the game. Obviously it was 7-7 going into extra time. So, but there were a couple questionable calls earlier. It looked like IMG should have had a defensive touchdown on a sack fumble on the quarterback, but it was ruled incomplete pass. So that kind of took momentum away from IMG. But East St. Louis, man, they got some dogs. Like they're tough. They're gonna be in a gritty game, and they always have a chance to win, especially when they make it ugly. And that's what the game was last week. But IMG found a way to win. East St. Louis got the ball first to start overtime, scored a touchdown. The extra point was blocked, which ended up being really the key play of that game. And then, IMG couldn't do anything in overtime. First, second, third down, nothing. They had a fourth and goal at the 10. And it's crazy to think that they go to the freshman wide receiver, Eric McFarland, who makes it great, kind of turned his body around, made a great catch near the sideline, and then they got the extra point and walked out with the dub, which is, huge for them because now they get St. Francis Academy this week, and that's going to be a big time game on Friday. That's going to be our Max Preps game of the week this week.
Max Prep Game of the Week, IMG
Yes.
St. Francis Academy. So let's kind of go unorthodox, man. Let's keep on that same topic. Let's just bring it
Yeah.
up. Let's talk about it right now. Let's talk. We still got some games to recap, but let's talk
Yeah.
about IMG St. Francis. TBD right now, whether or not I'm going to be approved for media credentials, we'll see. Right now I guess they're scouting me to see if I'm worthy enough to be on the sidelines. But nonetheless, hopefully I get the approval. I'll be there in Baltimore for this big matchup. But why is it the Max Preps Game of the Week? Talk to me.
Yeah. I mean, you look at St. Francis, you do see the three losses, but you look at it, they played Mater Dei as tough as anybody this year, lost 25-14. They were, a couple plays away from beating Duncanville. They lost that game 28-24, was a very winnable game for them. And then the Orange Lutheran game is a 15-13 loss. So all three of their losses are respectable. They, year in and year out, they play one of the toughest schedules, and that's been the same case again this year. They're playing their best football of the season, too, though. They've won 4 in a row, and they've dominated some pretty good teams. Last week, they went out to Florida, played Clearwater Central Catholic, won that game easily 35-7. This is the same team that, went wire to wire with Venice, lost 27-20 the week before. So, they're hitting all strides right now. This should be a good game. IMG Academy, they've won 6 straight since they dropped their season opener against Corner Canyon. So they're playing really well right now. A little tough game last week against East St. Louis. The offense wasn't really clicking, but they got a great defense. So I expect a low scoring game on Friday. I'm kind of leaning St. Francis here, though. I think they're going to find a way to win. You got number 5 IMG versus number 17 St. Francis Academy, so it's a top 25 matchup. But when these two play, it's usually a pretty big game, and it's usually pretty competitive. And I expect that to be the case on Friday. It's crazy to think too. This is St. Francis's first home game of the season.
Yeah, first
Yeah,
first home game. If I'm not mistaken, they're playing it at what, Howard University. I got to double
I
check, but
believe it's at Morgan State.
Morgan State University. I knew it was one of the universities in the DMV. But yeah, so Morgan State home game. St. Francis first one this season. They welcome IMG back to the DMV. Look, I've been going St. Francis all season. I can't stop now. I got a lot of love for
Yeah,
a lot of guys on IMG. Heck, a lot of those kids are from the DMV. Let's be clear, right? I mean, a lot of those kids are from this area. But I've got to go St. Francis. I just think they're more hungry. I think they want it more. They look forward to IMG every single season. They play, it seems like twice as hard against IMG. It's super competitive for the most part. I was there a couple of years back when they played at UMD when it was probably -8 degrees, the coldest game I've experienced in my life. Flew in from Texas from covering a playoff game there, straight to Baltimore, witnessed, a ton of big plays, but IMG pulled it out then. I think St. Francis is going to get it back this home game. So I got St. Francis by at least a touchdown in a very, very competitive, fun game to watch.
It's crazy too if you just look at all the talent that these two programs have produced over the last 5 years. Blake Corum, J.C. Latham, Chris Braswell, Tyler Booker, Carnell Tate, Jordan Seaton, who's having a good freshman season at Colorado, Dalen Everett, Katron Allen, Ellis Robinson, Jarrett Gibson, Michael Van Buren, and Deshaun Womack. I mean, those are just some of the guys that both these programs have produced over the last 5 years. And there's plenty of talent on both teams this year. I think there's a combined 44 players in this game that are rated as a 3-star recruit or higher. So there's going to be plenty of future college football and, a few NFL guys that'll be playing in this game on Friday.
Absolutely, without a doubt. And, I've talked about him a handful of times, but Zion Ely, St. Francis Academy, now pretty much the number one ranked overall recruit in the class of 2026 for St.
Yeah.
Francis. So, I'm looking for him to have a big homecoming game. I know he's been looking forward to this one. He has to, right? That's bucket list. We're playing IMG in the DMV. What more do you
That's why
want?
these
So
kids transfer to St. Francis, to playing games like this, and here's your opportunity right here. I mean, these are, two big time programs, two of the marquee schools every year when it comes to national rankings, and they're both loaded with big time prospects.
most definitely. So look, let's kind of reverse and go back to some of these recaps. Where do we want to go next? Where do we want to go next? Let's take it back to Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. This is a big game, right? You said it, North Shore. What is it? Atascocita? I got it. I got it right on
Nailed
the
it.
first time.
Got it.
Nailed it.
You
Let's
got
go. No
it.
practice on
Nice.
the fly. So
Love it, dude.
Atascocita, I was rocking with them. You said it was going to be a tight, good game. North Shore, I was wrong. You were right. But it was a very competitive, fun game. 27-23. Talk to me. North Shore got the better, yet again. It's been a little while. We talked about that last week. How'd North Shore do it?
They're a resilient bunch. It wasn't looking like they were gonna to win this game. Atascocita was up 23-20, about a minute left. North Shore made a couple of big time plays, scored a touchdown with 6 seconds left to pull out the win. You know, with Atascocita too, though, Torrey Blaylock was banged up. He didn't even play until the fourth quarter and was a non-factor. He had a couple of carries, so it might be a different game if Torrey Blaylock's healthy because he's had a huge senior season. Oklahoma's getting a big time running back in that dude. Carde Mack, though, he's a stud junior quarterback for Atascocita. He had a huge game. But Caleb Bailey, on the other hand, for North Shore, their starting quarterback, he's been one of the more underrated dudes. He's been, making big time plays for North Shore since his freshman season. And he made some key plays for North Shore down the stretch to pull this one out. So I would expect these two to play again in the playoffs, though. So I think round two might be even better. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, especially, if Torley Blaylock's back and healthy in that one. It could be a different outcome. But North Shore's just had Atascocita's number here as of late. That's the ninth straight time they've beat the Eagles now.
9 straight. They meet in the playoffs. Will it be 10 straight? I'm sure we'll talk about that in due time. But North Shore got the better of this matchup yet again, 9 in a row. Great job. I was wrong. You were right. I'm gonna keep rocking with Atascocita just because I learned how to say their name. So anytime that we
There
talk
you go,
about
man.
them, by default, I'm Atascocita all the way. But let's not
There you
stop
go.
at Atascocita. Let's look. All right. Well, what's there to talk
Yeah.
about, man? It was a blowout at halftime. The game was
Yeah.
over at halftime, probably before halftime. I got a lot of love for Bosco, Coach Negro, and them boys, but man, Mater Dei blew them out. Talk to me. What do we got?
I mean, they've shown why they're the number one team in the country all season. They've beat 5 top 25 teams now, and the closest game was that St. Francis game, 25-14. So they've won double digits every single game. This was crazy though. 45-0 at half. I did not see that coming. I thought Mater Dei would win by 2 or 3 scores, but this is the first time a running clock has ever been put on Jason Negro since he became head coach in 2010. So this, these type of losses do not happen to St. John Bosco, but Mater Dei is just so good in the trenches. Dash Byerly at quarterback continues to get better every single week. I think they're just opening things up for him a little more now too. He threw for over 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns, also had a 40-yard rushing score, so he had 5 total touchdowns. Defense forced 4 turnovers. They had a pick six. Aaron Washington, stud underclassmen at corner, and then Nasir White had a scoop and score touchdown too. So they were doing it on all 3 levels. They just dominated from start to finish. But it's probably good for Koamalu'ulu to be in a game like this. The freshman quarterback, he's gonna just get better from this too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if these two play again in the playoffs, which usually tends to happen with these two programs. But Mission Viejo is playing great this year. Corona Centennial is also getting hot at the right time. So it'll be interesting if one of those two teams or a team like Orange Lutheran can get in between a Bosco Mater Dei rematch. But I know Jason Negro wants Bosco to get another crack at Mater Dei to show that they're not a 45-point team less than the Monarchs. But yeah, Mater Dei, man, Raul Laura is doing a tremendous job in his first year as head coach for Mater Dei. They're clearly the best team in high school football right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, without a doubt, leaps and bounds. I don't think it's even a close race at this point. With Mater Dei being the undisputed number one across whatever platform you decide to look at. There's not a team in the country that's going to be able to go against Mater Dei on any given day and really be able to come out with a win. St. Francis came the closest, and it still wasn't that close. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, they had some garbage points at the end too. They probably, Mater Dei dominated that game too. So
yeah, so that's the reality. However, we still have some season left. Where does St. John Bosco go from here? And what can we expect in the postseason?
I mean, they close out the regular season against Jay Sarah on Friday. This is a team they've played 18 times and they've won all 18 matchups. So I would expect Bosco to get back on track and head into the playoffs with a little bit of momentum, get that sour taste out of their mouth, and go into the playoffs with the win. But we'll see, because Bosco is going to probably be the 2 or 3 seed depending on where you rank Mission Viejo. Bosco's played a way tougher schedule than Mission Viejo, so I'd still expect Bosco to have a chance to be that 2 seed in the playoffs. So that's the thing that hurts, though, is because now you're going to have to play a team like Mission Viejo most likely in the semifinals compared to playing someone else, which maybe be Corona Centennial, who could be an easier matchup. But I think either one would be tough. But yeah, Bosco is going to have their hands full in the playoffs, though, because that semifinal matchup is going to be against a legit team in the southern section. So, but you know how Bosco is, man. They're always ready to go to play whoever, whenever. So
Yeah, they definitely, they'll take this one on the chin. I'm sure, Coach Negro is having a very professional conversation with the team and the staff after that tough game. But with the big game on Friday, they close this one out. Where's the prediction here? Is it going to be a bounce back blowout, or is this going to be a pretty competitive game?
I would expect a bounce back blowout, because I think Bosco's mad right now. They went out in a 1 versus 2 matchup, and they didn't perform well at all. Anytime you lose 59-14, you're not going to be feeling good all week. So you're going to put in extra work on the workouts, practice. You're going to be a little more locked in. They want to, win this game big and get that week off, and then get ready for the playoffs, ride in some type of momentum. And I think they're going to hand Jay Sarah Catholic another Trinity League loss. Jay Sarah's 1-3 so far in Trinity League action. They finally got their first win against Santa Margarita last week, 35-33.
Fair enough. So we've been talked about Bosco's bounce back. Let's talk about the flip side. Mater Dei. We said they're the biggest, the baddest, the best, but they're playing an Orange Lutheran program who is taking on all the biggest and baddest this entire season. I mean, they had the schedule, second to none, strength of schedule, call it what you want. They wanted everything, and now they get Mater Dei. Do we see a potential Mater Dei upset? Mater Dei going down, Olu coming out on top. What do you see here?
I mean, you're on cloud nine right now if you're Mater Dei. You just beat St. John Bosco 59-14, but I don't expect them to, overlook Orange Lutheran. Orange Lutheran's a very, very good program. Their only two losses was that 28-24 loss against Bosco game. They were leading most of the way. And then obviously that loss at Bishop Gorman 55-28, where they pretty much got dominated from start to finish. So I think this game's going to be close early, but I just think Mater Dei is just too good everywhere. That's why Mater Dei was our preseason number one this year. Is they just don't really have many holes. They got a very good quarterback. They got a very good running game. They got a great offensive line. They're loaded at playmakers at the wide receiver position. They got arguably the best tight end in the country, regardless of class, and Mark Bowman, one of the top-rated sophomores. And then on defense, defensive line's great. Linebacking core is outstanding, and then their secondary 6-7 deep. So this is a team just loaded everywhere, and I would be shocked if anybody beats Mater Dei this year, especially after seeing what they did to St. John Bosco and even what they did to Bishop Gorman earlier this year too, who is right up there, top 5, top 3 team in the country as well.
Yeah, and I like how you just did that whole Mater Dei piece without mentioning arguably one of the top ranked kids in the 26th class, Chris Henry Jr., who we've had on the show earlier in the
Yeah,
season. Didn't mention him. He hasn't played in the last handful of weeks, but
he's
it's
out for the
crazy
year.
to think. You
And he
know,
didn't even. That's how deep they are, wide receiver.
it's
Like he got hurt.
outrageous.
Yeah, he got hurt against Gorman, which was what, like early September, and then you just plug in guys like Caden Dixon, Wyatt, Marcus Harris, and Mark Bowman at tight end, and they got a couple of other stud wide receivers too. It's just the depth's insane at Mater Dei. I think you went on mute real quick, dog. I think you went muted again, dog.
Now that my mic technical issues are over, as I was trying to say, my prediction. I say all that because Mater Dei, they're the biggest and baddest for a reason. I don't think Orange Lutheran has just enough to take out Mater Dei. Not this year, not this game. Mater Dei by probably 3+ touchdowns is where I'm at. So let's just keep it in Cali. We got another big game to talk about. Talk to me. Sierra Canyon. They've looked good throughout the season. They've had some ups, they've had some downs. Jay Sierra, ups and downs. Where do we see this big matchup on Friday night?
Yeah, this is Michigan League title on the line here. This should be a fun one, man. Sierra Canyon, they're loaded with dudes. Richard Wesley, one of the top sophomores in the country. Madden Riordan, this dude's got 10 interceptions already this year. He's a 2026 USC commit, absolute ball hawk, and they got a great secondary. So this should be a fun game. You look at Sierra Canyon, their 3 losses have all come against teams in the Trinity League, which is the best league in high school football. So they've played
Without question.
legit competition. So I think they'll be ready for Sarah. I'd expect Sierra Canyon to win this game, but Gardena Sarah, this is a program. They've produced the who's who, some of the best talent to come out of Southern California. They got a lot of talented dudes on this team, this squad too. DeVay Williams, a 2027 standout. They got the Robinson brothers, 2 big time playmakers. So Jaden and Skylar. So this should be a fun game filled with a lot of talent, but I think Sierra Canyon is just, they've played tougher teams this year, and I'd expect that to play a role. I think Sierra Canyon's going to win this game by a couple of scores.
Yeah, I can't say that I disagree. You know, offensively, I think they just have too much, but we'll see Friday night. Let's go from California and let's shift gears. Let's go to the Peach State. Let's talk about the new number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
The new number 2. They've been riding number 3 the better part of all year. After I think they started 9, moved up to 6, and then got down to 3, and then they've kind of set at 3 up until this big matchup that we had 1 versus 2. Somebody had to lose. As long as Milton won, they were moving up almost out of default. Unless it was some super close, terrible 2-0 score. But
Yeah.
we're now we got big rival Roswell. at Milton. Milton, yet another big blowout win. What did they win, like 56 to nothing or something crazy last week? What do you see here, Roswell Milton? It's another fun one to watch. It's always competitive.
Yeah, Roswell, they're riding some momentum too. They beat a very good Gainesville squad last week, a great game. So they're going into this one, man. Hey, we beat Milton, and we're going to go ahead and be region champs. So, but Milton, man, you brought it up. They're number 2 right now. I think outside them and Duncanville probably have the 2 best chances to finish the year at number 1 if Mater Dei loses. So they want to go into the postseason with a ton of momentum, and a big win against Roswell would be huge for them. You just look at Milton's talent too. Luke Nichols having another great season. Ethan Barbour, a stud tight end. CJ Wiley's having another great year. Obviously, TJ Lester, guy we had on this season, he's having an outstanding senior year at the running back position. So they're loaded with talent. They got a good offensive line too. Defense is very, very good. So I'd be surprised if Milton lost the game this year. I expect them to win this one on Friday, and I really do believe they're going to win the 5A state title. And of course, last year they were the 7A state champs, dropped down to 5A. There's only 6 classifications now in Georgia, so I think Milton's going to win this game by a couple of scores.
Yeah, I can't go away from Milton. I got to witness, probably 2 of their toughest games this year in back-to-back weeks, and they haven't disappointed. They haven't let up, off the gas all season long. Regardless of how competitive it may seem coming into the game, I just don't think Roswell is going to have enough to compete realistically against Milton. I think Milton's going to win 3+ scores, and then they're going to run the table through the playoffs, and I'll see them in the bins in December at the state championship. That's my prediction. Milton, I don't know that I've seen teams that really are going to be able to stand up against Milton, especially after watching them play a powerhouse like Buford, take on American Heritage like you know, they play some dudes. So I think they're going
Yeah,
to
and
run it.
speaking of that Buford game too, I mean Milton beat Buford, and then I don't like to compare teams that play against each other and common opponents and all that. It's not huge for me, but Roswell did lose 52-17 to Buford, a team that Milton did beat also. But I think Milton's playing even better right now too than earlier in the season when you saw them. So that's how good this team's been. Coming into this year, we knew that Milton was going to be good, and I think they've even exceeded expectations so far this year with the way they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to be really good. I didn't realize that they were going to be almost great at this point. I mean, they
Yeah.
have been outstanding, to follow and to watch and cover. So shout out to Milton. It's going to be a fun one on Friday night against Roswell. But I think Milton's going to take it pretty comfortably and just ride it through the playoffs and into the state championship, just like they did
Yeah.
last year. So let's kind of close this thing out, man. Let's keep it in Georgia and let's talk about another big time in-state matchup. We've got Carrollton, we got Douglas County. Douglas County, I watched them to kick off the season in the bins. They're stupid loaded, on offense and defense. They got the young guys. They got a couple of upperclassmen. And then you look at Carrollton. Carrollton's got, one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in the country with Julian Lewis. He's got a great support staff. We had Ryan Mosley on, what was it, just a couple of weeks ago. So Carrollton, they look really, really good. I mean, they've pretty much been top 15, top 10, better part of all season, and just continue to climb as they
Yeah.
progressed at 9-0. You got Douglas County, who was kind of started off very strong and then took that one loss and kind of dipped in the rankings a little bit, but they're still at 8-1. Friday night, it's a big matchup. We plan to have Aaron Gregory and Jordan Carter on as our guest. But until we lock them in and had that conversation, what's your take on this big time matchup, Carrollton Douglas County Friday night?
Yeah, I think this is a big test for both teams. They want to see where they're at as they get ready for the 6A playoffs. On top of that, region titles on the line too. Both these teams are 4-0 so far in region play as they close out the regular season. So Julian Lewis, though, he's having another great season. He's thrown for like 2,300 yards this year. He's completing 76% of his passes. On top of that, he's got 34 touchdowns in 9 games this year. And he's had an outstanding high school career. He'd pretty much shatter every Georgia passing record. if he didn't reclassify and he played all 4 years of high school. He's 34-3 as a starting quarterback during his 37 starts, and he started every single game during his high school career too. So, on top of being a great quarterback, he stayed healthy. He's one of the better quarterbacks that we've seen in Georgia history. So, I'm looking forward to seeing how he closes out the regular season and Carrollton heading into the playoffs, because I told you before the season started, I expected Carrollton to win the 6A state title, and they're looking like a real threat. But Douglas County is not going to be an easy game. Their only loss came to Buford, the number 12 team in the country. Douglas County right now is kind of on the fringe of getting back in the rankings. They're at number 28 in our expanded top 100. So obviously a win on Friday, you'd see them make a big jump in the top 25 next week. But I think Jordan Lewis is just too locked in right now. I think Carrollton's going to find a way to win. But, you brought up Aaron Gregory and Jordan Carter, two recent Texas A&M commits. Those are two big-time playmakers. Gregory is leading the team in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Carter is an absolute stud coming off the edge. So they got playmakers on both sides. Devin Carter, another big-time wide receiver. They got a very good quarterback, and they got plenty of other talent. So there's going to be a lot of future college football dudes in this game, but I'm leaning Carrollton here. I think their secondary is too good, and I expect Julian Lewis to make enough plays on offense.
Hey, look, we finally get to disagree. As much as I like Carrollton and I love what Julian's done and continues to do, I got to go Douglas County. I can't go against the guys that we got on the show. Again, I got to see them in person on the kickoff to the season as part of the Corky Kell, and they're just stupid loaded on both sides. I mean, they've continued to grow, and then after that Buford loss, they took that one on the chin and really bounced back. And there's a lot of momentum, and now you've got two of the I want to say bigger stars on the team. The team's pretty star-studded, but you've got Aaron Gregory, Jordan Carter, coming back off of a big weekend at Texas A&M. They commit. LSU goes down. Big game in college, football. I think that momentum is just going to carry into Friday Night Lights, and they're going to have their team as amped as they are, and I think they're going to knock off Carrollton in a very close game. But I've got them by at least one score better come Friday night.
Texas A&M some dogs, boy. Texas A&M got some dogs on that team, boy. Come on, man. Come on, man. We got this. Man, y'all know what it is. Come on, man. We here. Come on. We're talking about it here. Yes, sir. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's something special. So special.
All right, man. So as promised, we're delivering. You see the special guest on the screen. You just saw the big moment, courtesy of Beyond the Ball. Check out their YouTube channel if you haven't already. The video is like 20 minutes long. I figured I'd share about a minute of it. Talk to me about that special moment. I saw you guys kind of just smiling. Well, Jordan, he's held that same face probably the whole time he's been on camera right now. He ain't really budged a whole lot. But Aaron, you over there grinning real big, talking about, giggle. Talk to me about that moment, man.
Man, it was a crazy moment. Them coming off like a big win against LSU, and me personally, I've been down there so many times, and then being able to get the relationship with the coaches and being able to feel like family for us, it's a crazy moment. And then them winning that game is even crazier, and then making that decision to commit, it was a great moment.
Yeah, man. So what was your point of view? I'm curious as to what your perspective is, Jordan, because on the video you was amped, you had a lot to say, but you've been real stone faced right now. So talk to me, man. Why Texas Texas A&M? Why that moment? How did that moment feel? They knocked off LSU prime time with them stupid dope all black unis. Like they need to keep those in rotation because those I like those. But talk to me, man. What was your point of view?
I mean, my point of view was the atmosphere was crazy for one, and then two, it was a big win for the program, and I had to say it was a big win for me too, because honestly, that win is like it set everything off for my recruitment right there, because that team LSU was a good team, and they were also undefeated in the SEC. So like that was and especially the program. The program is like really good at what they do, especially with recruiting wise. You know what I mean? So that hit a lot with me.
All right, so let's talk about that recruiting, piece, right? So you guys are current teammates. Have you guys played together, prior to high school, or did you guys just kind of link up, through high school football?
Yeah, we played Little League together on Ross Elite. We played them, and then we would go to like All-Star games, and we'd see each other here and there. So yes,
Uh,
sir.
So throughout youth ball, you guys have rocked together, and then you're at Douglas together, right? I mean, you guys have an all-star lineup at Douglas. I was blessed to see you guys opening day this year at the Benz. You guys put on a show, as you have pretty much the entire season. Took a rough loss to Buford, but you guys
Yeah,
bounced back, took it on the chin, and I mean, you guys are what, set up 7-1, 8-1 at this point, going into
yeah,
Carrollton.
anyway,
Yeah, so you got Carrollton, who's undefeated this week, so that's a big matchup. But let's talk about y'all's time together at Douglas, right? You guys have been teammates throughout pretty much your entire lives, and then you start to do the recruiting thing together. Texas A&M, the only school you guys visit together, kind of were you a package deal going to other campuses throughout your recruiting process?
I mean, it was like a mix. Like since we like have the Phenom, and then we do the Beyond the Ball series. Usually the visits we go on, we're always together. So it's kind of like we get there, we together, boom. He split with his coaches or whatever. I split with my coaches, and then like if we go to a game, we there together. So it's really like we just always together because like kind of like that. Like it's
No,
always
no, no. That's cool, man. I completely overthought the process of Phenom Elite. I mean, look, Phenom's grown tremendously just over the last like 4 years in general. I know my guy Coach Raw down there in the A. He put me on Phenom early, and then I've just watched them grow, and now they're outfitting full high school football programs. You guys are kind of like the poster program, which is dope. I got to see the fresh unis in the bins looking real sharp. And then beyond the ball, I didn't realize that they had been rocking with you guys for more so. So I have to definitely double back and check out some of the videos. But with that, you guys go to Texas A&M. You had a couple of visits together there. What led to this moment in particular? Why did we decide this is when we're committing? Was it because of the win, the environment, the atmosphere, and kind of everything coming together at that moment, or was it kind of like just one of those man moments, like, damn, this is real life, they just knocked off undefeated LSU, prime time, we love it here, this is where we want to call home?
So the first time we had gone to A&M, like we already knew that was home. But this visit was like just to settle it all in. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we were all like. That's what me and Aaron were trying to do this visit. Just settle it all in and make sure we double down and know what we want and know what we're getting into when we get on this visit and we watch this game.
All right, so I'm just curious, I'm gonna throw this out there. In the event that LSU came out with the dub, were we still committing, or would it have been kind of held off for a little bit?
Absolutely, we would have still committed either way it went, but because the coaching staff's still the same, everything's still going to be the same. One win, and one loss doesn't define the team. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
I'm
all
with
about
it.
like how
It just made it that much sweeter, with the big prime time win. I like that. Look, I respect that answer 100%. I just had to ask because I was curious. But let's do this. Let's keep talking A&M in the recruiting piece, right? Who are some guys that you have on your radar, that's in your textbook right now that you're reaching out to, saying, "Hey, come to Texas A&M."
I got Bryce Perry right, and then I'm also trying to get Deuce Gerald's, and I'm trying to get Tyler Atkinson as well.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Tyler. Boy, let me find out y'all get Tyler down there at Texas A&M, College Station.
Hey, that would be all crazy if all three of us played together again, because we played together on the eighth grade team, and we was the best D line, and we went. They
I
had
can
went
imagine.
back, but I was just there for that last year. So that last year was really fun. So I could only imagine what it was for all those other couple of years.
Man, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. What about you, Aaron? Who's on your radar? Who are you reaching out to?
it's different because like you would think I would have like receivers like try to come, but it's really not. Like right now, I'm trying to get Dorian. He goes to Carrollton. Ryan. He goes to Carrollton. And I'm also trying to get Jamar. He's at DC right now. He's a safety for us. I'm trying to get him out there to see what it's like. So those are
All
like,
right, so you doing some homegrown recruiting. You keeping it
yes,
real
sir.
local. All right, look, you stay within like a 25-mile radius. I can respect that. But you mentioned Ryan, man. We had Ryan on the show a couple of weeks back, and his recruiting has exploded, man. I'm excited for the things that he's been doing, and he was on this visit, right? So how
Yeah,
was it having? Actually, you had Ryan and you had CJ. If we're talking about big time recruits down there in the A, CJ comes off the decommitment to Florida State. He's at College Station. He watches LSU get knocked off prime time. How was it, having those guys, or were you in their ears saying, "Hey, this is what you get. You come to College Station."
man, like with CJ, I don't really know him like that. Like, of course, we both know of each other because it's that like two high ranked receivers. But with Ryan, it's like, okay, I known him for a little bit. Like that's kind of we cool. And then Dorian, been like I said, playing with Dorian with C1N, play with Ryan with C1N. So it's like family a little bit. So over this weekend, we just like, come on, man, this the move, this the move. Until Monday, then we played them this week, so that's where they got to cut out. But definitely over the weekend, definitely like, come on, man, this is where we got to be at.
All right, well then look, let's take it to this weekend, right? Let's take it to Friday night. We got the big matchup against Carrollton. Obviously Julian, he's having one of the best seasons he's ever had, and I mean he's only getting better each week. So you have that to go against, but he's got an all-star cast around him, much like you guys. So talk to me about that game. What does it mean to you guys? What are you looking forward to? What are some matchups that you're looking forward to? Don't give me any schemes or anything. We don't want coaches on our back, but just talk to me about the fun side of it.
Well, me personally, I'm taking this game personal because my freshman year I had left Carrollton, so this game personal for me and also my other teammates because we got two other teammates that went to Carrollton with me alongside like my freshman year. So then we all came here to Douglas County. So that game's personal. It's gonna be a big game, but our main goal as a team and as a unit is just to go 1-0. That's it. Like there's no attacks, there's no nothing. We just want to go 1-0.
All right, all
Yeah,
right. So what you got, Aaron?
man. For me, it's like I know all like the DBs because play with C1N. A lot of them play with them, or they're older like boys I used to go against. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's personal, but like it's definitely a big game because I love playing against competition, and I'm like, okay, there's some boys I can see again that I haven't seen in a little bit, so it's gonna be great, like just to go against them and then get the feel for like, okay, it's a powerhouse team. Let's do it. Like let's rock out. Like Jordan said, just go 1-0.
It's going to be crazy because I mean this is essentially a college matchup. I mean you guys have probably collectively between both programs you're probably 30 plus, if not more, young men with Division I scholarship opportunities. So it's definitely that type of matchup. I'm excited to tap in. I'm actually going to be covering the IMG St. Francis game from the sidelines, but I got my hand in my phone in my other hand checking in on a bunch of other games, man. And this is one that I'm excited for. Me and Zack talked about it, just before you guys jumped on. So, look, I'm not going to keep you guys. You guys got schoolwork to do. I appreciate you jumping on. This was a lot of fun, man. I'm excited for the game. I'm sure you guys are. I'm excited to see who else you guys get to recruit to come to Texas A&M because Texas A&M made a big splash over the weekend. They got both of you. They got like, didn't you guys get a big Samoan dude from Texas or
Yeah,
something,
we
if
got
I'm not mistaken?
yeah,
Hold on.
outside linebacker.
Yeah, can one of y'all say his name?
Nah.
Can't.
Hey,
I don't even want to
yeah.
attempt.
Look, I was going back and forth. I was trying. I said, nope, I don't want to butcher it, man. But look, shout out to Texas A&M. Y'all are doing big things. But more importantly, stay safe, stay healthy. If you guys make the state championships, hopefully you do. I'll be back in the bins to close out my 2024 tour, which is pretty exciting. I started in the bins. I'm going to finish in the bins. So hopefully I'll see you guys again soon. But best of luck this Friday. All right.
Yes,
Definitely.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games in Georgia this week too. Obviously this one we touched on the Milton game, and then obviously you got Buford playing Mill Creek this week also. Who else plays? I know Coffee's playing Thomas County Central. So there's a lot of big time games in Georgia this week. It's going to be a fun week in the Peach State as playoffs are right around the corner.
Yeah, man. And look, it's crazy to think it feels like the season just started yesterday. I started
Right?
the season off in beautiful Atlanta, and it's kind of full circle. I'm going to close out my season with their state championships in beautiful Atlanta, right? Start in the bins, I finish in the bins, all in Atlanta. However, man, I'm pretty stoked. I got Jones High School on a Thursday night next week. That we'll
Oh,
get to
nice.
talk about a little bit. Randomly I'm going to be in Florida, for about 10 days or so. So that's going to be my week game. I tried to find one on Friday, but I was like, you know what? I'm on vacation. I'm only going to take away family time one night. So I'll do Jones on Thursday, do a little vacay, and then I get first round playoffs, man. I'll have some first round playoff action. So my next couple of weeks, after IMG St. Francis, I head to Florida, and then I get Virginia playoffs, and then from Virginia playoffs, Virginia State championships, Georgia State championships. Hopefully, take a nap, take a breather, and then it's all off season, man. Camp, camp, camp. So, look, this was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate it. So, with that being said, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm not sure if I touched on that. You see the pink, that's not normal, obviously. We do that each and every October to support breast cancer awareness. 39 Hearts, it's the reason why Spotlight 39 exists. Shout out to IM Power Energy, as well as the Great White Premium Apparel. Visit their website, greatwhite.shop. That's the sponsors. Zach, man, what are you most excited for this weekend? We've been talked about some big games. Talk to me, man. What's the one that you can't just go with the Max Preps game of the week just because? I mean, it can be, but what are you most excited about this week? And what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I think it's the game we just touched on, man. I think this Carrollton Douglas County game is probably the one I'm most looking forward to outside of St. Francis IMG. I think this is going to be a big time game in the state of Georgia. Obviously the Peach State always produces big time talent and big time teams. And I think we're going to get a big time game here on Friday. This should be a fun one, man. And, we're closing out the regular season here in a lot of states this week. So, it's buckle up time, man. It's almost playoff time, winner go home season. And obviously, I've been pretty happy with the way the baseball playoffs have been going so far because my Dodgers are one win away from bringing home, World Series. So I can finally have people stop saying, oh, our little Disneyland World Series with a 60-game season that didn't count. So it'd be nice to get one in the bag to kind of shut those people up finally.
Hey, look, I'm glad you brought that up because I had to break out my guy Mookie, you
There we
know,
go.
with the Red Sox jersey. You're
Yeah,
welcome for that.
yeah, I
Shout out to the
appreciate that.
Dodgers for digging in, that Yankees rear end.
Yeah.
I'll keep it PG. So look, shout out to the Dodgers. I appreciate it. Spotlight 39 Live, the podcast. I'm Rob. That's Zach. Until next week, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We'll see you soon. Appreciate you.